Good evening, everyone. Call this meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. I'd like to humbly acknowledge the land we live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, traditional lands of Cree and Dene, and unceded territory of the Métis people. For the record, we have Councillor Cardinal joining us online. And Councillor Cardinal, if you have your camera turned on, please. If anyone in attendance wishes to address council on any of the items on the agenda, please do so before the start of that agenda item by registering with our Legislative Services desk to the right of me. When you do come up, you'll have 5 minutes to present. Please remain on topic and remain seated for questions. Before we adopt the agenda, I do have a notice of motion to serve. I, Mayor Sandy Bowman, hereby give notice of my intent to bring forward the following motion for council consideration on the June 9, 2026 council meeting. That administration review the community standards bylaw and any other relevant bylaws related to municipal management, public education, and enforcement of unsightly property. And that the process include a review of enforcement and compliance standards, timelines, and fines aligned with the best practices across Alberta, including but not limited to communities such as Stettler, Alberta. And that administration report back to council with any recommendations, including the possible tighter enforcement timelines and more significant fines and/or penalties for non-compliance related to unsightly properties. Can someone make the motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
And thanks for second, Councillor Weigel. We'll call for a vote. Councillor Cardinal in favor, thank you. We're on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Stu?
Thank you, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Weigel?
Yeah, I'm just going back to my agenda. I would like to I'd like to pull 3.5 from the consent agenda, please.
And do you want to make that motion?
I move that we pull...
Or just know this, the recommendations contained in just 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4 be approved?
Sure. I move that recommendations contained in items 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4 be approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Weigel. Thanks, Councillor Allen, for the second. We'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Cardinal in favor, thank you. That's carried unanimously. Moving on to presentations, we have the RCMP Community Priorities Plan. I'd like to invite Troy Switzer and Nicole Chouinard to present, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the privilege of allowing me the opportunity to present our 2026-2027 Community Priorities Plan. My name is Troy Switzer. I'm currently the Acting Detachment Commander for Wood Buffalo RCMP. So I'm going to begin here with an overview of the 2025-2026 Annual Performance Plan for those that are new to Council. Last year, our Annual Performance Plan had 6 objectives. There were property crime theft with initiatives such as conducting crime reduction focused projects, increasing the number of downtown foot patrols and seasonal bike patrols. Under Objective 2, the Habitual Offender Management Program, we've had the initiative increasing priority offender focused initiatives. Under Objective 3, we had violence and violence in relationships. So our initiative was to enhance community awareness about violence in relationships and increase our available resources. For objective 4, we had organized crime and drug trafficking, and along with that, human trafficking. So our initiative was to conduct drug trafficking investigations, enhance our community's awareness about human trafficking and the available resources to the community, along with drug awareness and prevention education. Objective 5 was traffic safety, with an initiative of increasing traffic education and the number of traffic-related contacts, strategic enforcement projects, and increase the speed-related enforcement and violation notices in the community. And finally, objective number 6 was community engagements, with initiatives to increase our engagements with our First Nations and Métis communities, conduct community town halls throughout the year, and increase our stakeholder engagements. So as we drill into that, objective 1, property crime and theft, some of the things we did, we had 8 property crime reduction projects, which focused throughout the RMWB in identifying and arresting our major crime prolific offenders engaged in property crime throughout the RMWB. We also ran 6 auto theft projects targeting things such as bait vehicles, stolen vehicles, and recovery throughout the RMWB. And then we had 9 other priority offender initiatives. Objective number 2 under our prolific habitual offender management is what we do is curfew contacts. So we go to the homes and known locations of our offenders, and we ensure that they're compliant with all their probation and their conditions. And of that, we did 378 of those last year. For objective 3 under the violence or violence in relationships, we held throughout the community 12 domestic violence education information sessions, such as places like Keano College, the schools, and other public engagements to increase the awareness throughout our community. Under objective 4 for human trafficking and drug trafficking, we did 11 human trafficking awareness education sessions, again with our new residents in the community, as well as Keano College. We conducted 8 drug trafficking education sessions. We conducted 117 confidential informant reports, and 129 trafficking investigations were completed throughout the RMWB. Of those 129 trafficking investigations, we laid several charges and files resulting in arrests of several individuals. For traffic safety, some of the things we did, we had 177 alcohol and drug-related traffic operations. Those are check stops or focused enforcement operations where we're specifically targeting impaired or drug drivers. So we laid 231 impaired driving enforcement charges, so that's either under provincial sanctions or criminal sanctions. And then there were 2,138 traffic charges by our general duty members, and an additional 4,754 charges laid by our municipal traffic members. Those are the members dedicated to traffic enforcement. Objective 6 was strengthening our community relationships, and of that we did 60 First Nation and Métis engagements, 96 stakeholder engagements throughout the RMWB, and in addition we also held 258 youth engagements throughout the community. So there's just a couple slides here as we wanted to show our person and property crime statistics, and this is in relation to all the calls that we've had. So as you can see, trending from 2022 to 2025, our number of persons crimes has decreased annually. Again, looking at other property crime, we went from 7,334 to 2025, we're at 6,951. We went 2022 for other criminal code, which encompasses all other criminal charges. We were at 1994. We saw a slight increase in 2023, but again, we're coming out of COVID then. And then we've seen our numbers remain consistent with a dip again in 2025. So we are trending in the right direction. All our numbers are moving in a downward trend. And then the next slide is just our provincial traffic statistics. As you can see, our stats have gone up, which is a good thing, which is showing that now that we've had our bodies, we're doing more traffic enforcement as per our community objectives, targeting our drivers and the numbers we're trying to accomplish. So we went from 10,598 traffic offenses in 22 to 14,728 offenses in 2025. And one of the new things we implemented was our downtown beat patrol. So last year we had heard from the Business Association and the residents of the RMWB that they didn't feel safe, that they wanted to feel safe downtown. So our goal was to make downtown a safer place to both work and play for all the families and residents of the RMWB. So some of the things that accounted for some of our higher numbers, as you can see there, we had 8,914 files from our beat patrol. We had a 250% increase in our calls downtown, and that was just due to the proactive work that was done by the beat patrol. So as you can see, the number of occurrences, the first green circle there, while our members were on shift, were 7,799. Of those files investigated by the beat team alone, that's no other help from the general duty members, was 3,070. So they are definitely working for the community there. And of those 3,000, 1,226 charges were laid. They also issued 228 tickets downtown for various offenses. So then we moved to the new, what we're calling our community priorities plan. So it used to be the annual performance plan, and we've now shifted to the community priorities plan. And this was done in response to listening more to the communities, getting engagement and feedback from our communities, and trying to address specifically what each community's concerns were. So some of the things we did for our CPP, what we call the community priorities plan, is we put up QR codes where members of the RMWB could scan the QR code and vote on what's important to them. We held what we call pop-up events where we showed up at Mac Island, Keano College, some of the other locations, and we had people actually talk to us there. We also did a dotmocracy where people could take dots and pick what was important to them, number 1, 2, and 3 in their priorities. We also engaged with our rural communities door to door because we know that they don't get into town or they sometimes don't have access to social media or other traditional methods. So we actually went door to door in our rural communities and spoke to people and got their feedback as well to ensure that they were heard. We also put things out through the RMWB on the social media platforms, again, advising people that we wanted their feedback to hear what they had to say, as well as traditional paper surveys. So of those community engagements, hard copy surveys, we had 549 completed. We had surveys, we did 7 in-person pop-up events. We had 161 rural door-to-door surveys, and that's for who we actually spoke to. We knocked on several other doors, but we actually had contact with 161 residents. For our online RMWB survey on our webpage, which we ran from January 5 to February 25th, 644 residents completed the surveys, while 600 others took the online quick polls. So we had a good response of 1,793 people giving us feedback on what they wanted to see as the 2026-2027 priorities. So this slide here is comparing our provincial and municipal priority rankings, and this is based on calls for service. So in 2025, based on the applicable calls, so when we talk about applicable calls, we're talking about traffic safety, the property crime, the violent person offenses, and illegal drugs. 2,414 of those calls, 32% were traffic enforcement, 23% property crime, 9% were violent person offenses, and only 1.88% of that was drug-related files. So when we slide over to the blue screen, you can see it's very similar, even though we're talking only 2,800 calls in the provincial. Again, traffic safety was our highest number with 52% of those calls. Property crime, again, number 2 at 30%. Our violent person offenses rang in again, number 3 at 15%, and illegal drugs at 1.67%. And then when we combine them both, based on the totality of the 59,694 calls, again, similar traffic safety topped the numbers with 34% of our calls for service. Property crime was at 18%, violent person offenses at 10%, and again, drug-related is only 1.44% of our offenses. So the priorities are very similar across all areas of the RMWB. When we drilled into the public survey results that we received this year from our CPP, what we asked the people to do was put down, in order of preference from 1 to 5, where their priorities were. So under violent person offenses, what came out to us was domestic violence and assault was still number 1 with everybody of the 1,793 people that we've received responses. Sexual related offenses for our people crimes were number 2, human trafficking 3, firearms and weapons number 4, and hate crimes came in at number 5. Under our property crime and theft platform, again, residential break-and-enters and thefts were number 1 on people's minds. Vehicle theft was number 2. Mischief and damage to property, 3. Business B&E and theft was number 4. Cyber and online offenses, which was new, popped up for us as number 5. And then moving further down, it was fraud and then trespassing. No changes in our traffic safety enforcement. Number 1 was impaired driving for everybody, which has been consistent over years. Distracted driving came in at number 2. School zones at 3. Speeding number 4. And then off-highway vehicle enforcement was something that's been popping up as well with the OHVs around town. When we talk about community policing profile and the priorities, school engagements was number 1 on people's minds. Community engagements events such as Coffee with a Cop or information and safety events presented to different communities was number 2. Recruitment and career opportunities with the RCMP came in at number 3. And cultural events, both attending and being involved, came in at number 4. So what we've come up with, which is identical to the APP in the previous years for our community priorities plan, is again, property crime and theft is number 1. So our initiatives again are going to be conduct crime reduction and suppression focused projects and continuing to build the relationships with our downtown patrol initiatives. And I just made a few notes here. I wanted to highlight some of the things that have happened in the last 2.5 months here in Wood Buffalo. So starting on March 6th, we had a liquor store robbery with a machete on King Street, where due to our downtown beat team and our members that are enhanced members with the CPOs down there, we immediately arrested a male and charged him for that robbery with a machete. April 30th, we made significant charges. We seized 365,000 illegal cigarettes with the street value of about $75,000 with links to one of our local cab companies. Again, April 30th, there was a break and enter in progress at Noralta Toyota, which due to our downtown team being in the area, we located the individual inside the Toyota and were able to catch him and charge him accordingly. Again, May 6th, we had a break and enter in progress at the Boston Pizza downtown, where again, our downtown team caught the male and arrested him while it was in progress. And then most significantly on May 19th, we had a significant kidnapping forcible confinement file, which resulted in us seizing 1.5 kilograms of cocaine, over $4,000 in cash, along with a stolen loaded Glock handgun and multiple loaded magazines. And those charges are before the courts currently. So as you can see, we've had some significant events in the community, and having our members downtown working as force multipliers with the community peace officers has paid off in spades to eliminate some of the problems we're facing downtown and increase the safety to the citizens of the RMWB. Objective number 2, again, is prolific habitual offender management, so that didn't change either. But our initiatives are going to be to renew the focus on priority offender management. So we're going to be focusing with our parole folks, because one of the new things that have come out is ankle monitors, where we have the ability to apply for ankle monitoring on our prolific offenders in the community, have them wear that, and we're able to check on them 24/7 to ensure they're compliant with some of their probation requirements. Violence and violence in relationships is objective 3, which is again is similar to previous years. Again, working to increase our community awareness about relationships and violence and supports and resources in education. We're also doing significant outreach through our detachment to develop and deliver internal and external information sessions on violent offenders, with the goal of doing 12 of those sessions throughout the community this year. And also working with our youth on the violence that's happening recently. Some of the violence going on from the high schools, there's been significant fights at like the Kentucky Fried Chicken up in Timberley, where we're having hundreds of youth gather to watch each other fight. We've worked with our CPOs and the community to start laying charges under the bylaw. So we've laid charges, there's a $500 bylaw ticket in the RMWB that's available to us to bring these youth to court, and then the judge or community can decide whether they're going to be charged and pay that $500, or there's different ways we can deal with them through restorative justice or maybe some mediation, so we can start to curb the actual activity instead of just laying a fine. So doing some education over enforcement, but trying to find different mechanisms to deal with these youth fights and the things going on with the youth in the community. So again, that's going to be another of our focuses this year through our violence initiative. Objective 4 is organized crime and drug trafficking, like some of the things I highlighted, the kidnapping, the illegal cigarettes, some of the drugs coming in. There's been significant files that we've dealt with most recently. And again, that's just through the great work of our crime reduction units, our criminal intelligence units, and members out on the street working with the community to get that intelligence and actually work on that to lay some charges. So again, conducting those targeted enforcement initiatives to reduce our drug trafficking and strengthening our community awareness. Traffic safety, again, collaborating with our municipal partners through the CPOs and our provincial partners, the sheriffs, to make the streets in RMWB safer. We're trying to do some significant work on the e-scooter stuff coming out. That's going to be a big change that we're going to be working on as well as our OHV, doing some focused patrols on the ATV, OHV areas to enhance the community safety and ensure everybody's wearing their helmets, they're licensed, insured, and registered. So as per the pilot that's been successful, everybody's following the rules and making the community a safer place for everybody to be. And then Objective 6 is our community engagements. We're increasing our presence in the First Nation and Métis community events, as well as implementing community-focused initiatives that enhance positive engagement and strengthen public educations. One of the things we started in April here is we now have members that are living out in Janvier, Conklin area. They're working an 8-on, 6-off schedule, which became appealing to them so they can also spend more time with their families. So in the last 3 weeks, we've had over 300 calls for service since our members have been out there. We've actually got people knocking on the residence and the detachment now wanting to speak to the police. And the members are saying that people are now waving with all their fingers instead of only one when they see the police out in the communities. So, you know, it's a funny fact, but the members are amazed. It took literally 2 weeks and people are stopping, waving, talking to them, doing those things. Again, going back to our roots of community-based policing in our communities and giving the community what they deserve. So we're only about a month into the pilot. It's a 6-month pilot project just to see how it works, but without a doubt, it's going to be something we're looking to extend. I mean, the members are loving it. They're enjoying, or they're coaching soccer at the schools. They're working out with the youth. They're gone in and making pancakes and breakfast for the kids. So it's been a win-win for the community, and it's just paying off in spades. They were actually able to catch a shooting in progress out there last week. They were on scene within 20 minutes, and the person that reported in said, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be here for 2 hours." And they're like, "Sorry, we live out here now." So it's really working out well for the community and the members. So nothing but positive feedback there. Subject to any questions from Mayor or Council, that ends my presentation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Troy. Excellent presentation, and it's great to see all the things you guys do in the community. Would it be fair to say you've met or exceeded goals set forth in the objectives that were set last year?
We did. We have quantifiable goals that we met, and we've exceeded all but one in our intelligence and criminal analytics. I think we added an extra 0. We're shooting for 4,800 and we had 480, so I think it was just a clerical error, but otherwise we exceeded all our expectations and we're shooting for the same this year.
Perfect, thank you. Is there anything else we can do to make your job easier?
No, it's we're good for now.
Perfect. Questions from Council? Councillor Scott?
Yeah, well done. I can report just my own experience. The interaction with the RCMP from the rural communities has been really positive, and I've heard that directly, so well done to you and your team. You mentioned the number of home visits to check on folks who are under house arrest or under conditions, and you said it was over 300. How many people in this community are actually under some sort of condition that could be checked on?
I don't have that number directly with me, but there's probably in excess of 600 people on some form of release condition.
Yeah.
But that could be anything from your basic a condition from stealing something at the 7-Eleven to homicide, murder, impaired driving, right? So,
sounds like we're the RCMP are having a chance to get to about half of them then with the resources.
So what we do is we monthly have a meeting and we decide who our top 20 offenders are, and that's working with probation, our criminal intelligence, and our analyst. So if somebody's been compliant for 7 or 8 months, that they've met every condition, they're meeting their probation officer, they're checking in, they're not high on our list. What we're shooting for is a top 10 or 20 that they're not making their meetings, they're not attending curfew, and they're out causing problems in the community. So we focus that month on them, we target them, we breach them, get them back before the courts and change their conditions or have them incarcerated again. And then next month we look at again who our top 20 are. So it changes. Number 1 and 2 might come off the board and 2 new people go on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well done, and very good presentation.
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you, Troy, for your presentation. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the e-scooter file that you're going to be working on this summer? I know we had an incident a couple of weeks ago, and what can we expect from the RCMP in terms of enforcement?
We are going to try education over enforcement. That's our number 1 priority for a few reasons. One, the scooters are readily available. You can buy them on Amazon, eBay, wherever you want to buy them. So the education piece is critical because they can be ridden. They can be ridden on private property. They could potentially be ridden on a multi-use trail. But we want to make sure they're ridden with helmets, proper protective gear, right? They cannot be ridden on streets. They cannot be ridden on bike paths or sidewalks. As you're aware, we had an incident where a youth was hit in a crosswalk. We are actively working that file, and it's what happens. It can happen and does happen, right? Where whether it be a youth or an adult on the scooters for that matter, right? They're wearing earbuds or they're not wearing protective gear, and they are not a pedestrian. They are not entitled to have vehicles stopped for them by law, right? They assume they do due to lack of education. They go shooting into the street, and unfortunately in this instance, somebody was hit by a car. So we're trying to educate over enforcement. If we have to enforce, we're working with our community peace officers. We will be seizing the scooters, holding them, and then my belief is that we're going to be doing education with the parents. Because at the end of the day, if a child gets a ticket, it's the parent that pays. So does the child learn anything? No. So somehow we've got to come to the nexus where we can educate without penalizing the parent. If it's a repeat offender, well, then maybe enforcement is the way we go, and there's tickets and monetary fines for that. But
Awesome. I'm looking forward to the education piece. Just a couple of comments. Thank you to Sabrina, your media relations person. We all received the RCMP emails, and fantastic work. You had made a comment about the 300 calls in Janvier. So first to your team, you, Mark, Larry, we attended a community engagement in Janvier, and it was a hard meeting for you guys, but every month you guys keep coming back. Coffee with a Cop has been incredibly successful. In 2025, you said there was about 52 calls from Janvier to the RCMP, even though it's one of the most in dire communities, and to hear that there was 300 in the past couple of weeks, it just really shows the trust that you guys are building. So really good job, Troy. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Troy, again, for all you guys do and for the presentation. You were talking about I don't know, clarify, I don't know if it's an increase in fighting within the youth or just a different look at the perspective. Can you just go into that a little bit more on what's going on there?
We're seeing an increase in the fighting, the large-scale fighting. So where they're coming at lunch. For example, the most recent was the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Timberley.
Yeah.
It's due to proximity to the schools, the amount of students that come out at the same time for lunch and congregate in one location. So instead of just going there and saying, well, okay, it's what we call a consensual fight. So if 2 people are fighting, we usually don't lay a charge, right? Because you want to fight and you want to fight. So we don't lay a charge. However, there are tools such as the bylaw that we can curb that behavior with. We're also working closely with the schools to see if we can do things like adjust the times that they're letting the students out.
Right.
Or perhaps put some onus on the school to have a representative of the school at that location. They know it's a nexus for these fights. So perhaps if somebody at the school is there and they could say, you know, we see your behavior, you still face the ramifications at school, whether it's expulsion, whether it's suspension. So we're trying to put a little bit back of that on the school as well, because we're not going to police our way out of it.
Right.
And again, enforcement's the last thing we want to do. We want to educate. So if we can change a behavior pattern, that's what we're angling to do instead of doing the enforcement. So long-winded answer to your question. I don't know if we're seeing more, but it's changed. And again, it's now summer, it's warm out, and the kids are congregating. It wasn't a problem in -30.
Right.
right? Because they weren't hanging out there for 45 minutes doing nothing.
So this is a normal thing come this time of year when it gets a little bit warmer and everybody's outside together.
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. And the same thing we were talking about, like when a kid gets fined that $500, it's usually the parent that pays for it anyway, right?
Well, ultimately, most kids don't have the $500, and
Right.
the ticket, if you're under X amount of age, the parents are responsible, right? So,
And if you went into a situation on a consensual and you guys decided to fine, would you fine both parties?
yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Your Worship, and yeah, good job, Troy, acting OIC. You responded tonight like you've done this many times, and probably have some experience elsewhere for it. So appreciate that. Myself and Councillor Marcel are also the sitting councillors on the Police Advisory Committee, and we did have a chance to review this recently this month, some of the community priorities plan, but you went into it in great more detail. Especially, I finally learned for the first time what dotmocracy meant. Never heard of that before. But just because I know I have to explain some of these numbers, when you get into the statistics and it shows these downward trends at the end, many of those categories have actually gone up in and primarily in the traffic statistics. I wonder if you can explain how that. How that overall number is working. So, for example, under traffic statistics, we have provincial statutes. 22 was 2653, and then 25 was 3050. But yet it shows a drop off in the trend. Is that due to population or a percentage of population?
So our statistics, again, when we talk traffic enforcement, are going to be either files generated as well. So every ticket or deficiency notice is a file. Okay. So the numbers are kind of skewed that way. So if we don't have the tickets being written, the numbers go down, right? So it skews that way as well as population. So it depends. Our traffic unit was not fully staffed for quite a while. And then we just initiated, when I arrived, what we call our 40 and 4s, which is some quantifiable numbers that are required monthly by the detachment to show that we're meeting the initiatives of the community, such as traffic enforcement. So each watch is expected to have 40 traffic encounters. So then, we're doing 160 just on the watch alone. So our numbers go up or down based on the number of initiatives that are done by the watch.
Okay, I think that helps explain it for sure. The other thing was, I know the statistics are related a lot to just your actions, and we talked about what you're doing with the CPP. There was another one that was brought up, and that was the Public and Police Safety Framework Consultation. And that's a federal program. Is that something that we're going to be utilizing more municipally? It was It looks like it was just it's a round circle. It's a policy framework, but I think that was a federal framework. But I know municipally we were talking about getting more people involved and engaged locally in Wood Buffalo.
I'm not able to comment on that. I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to on that framework. I know it is being driven by the RCMP at a federal level. So again, then it comes down to the provincial and municipal, but that's the overarching umbrella that we'd be talking about. And that's why we drive down through the CPP or the annual priority plan, what the communities want, right? So there's the overarching umbrella that we have some input on, and then we drill down to the community and get our initiatives for the community, what specifically each community here would like to see.
Great. Well, thanks very much for the presentation, and thanks to all your members for some great work out there.
Thank you.
I think that's it for questions, Troy. So thank you very much for the presentation, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
I had a question.
Oh, Councillor Cardinal has a question. Go ahead, Councillor Cardinal.
Thanks, Troy. Good seeing you again. I got a question. Thanks for the presentation. I guess the first question would be, I would like to know how does the RCMP monitor sex offenders and child pornography through database and sharing of these location of the offenders in the region, and if maybe you can share with that with council a little bit on that in the public.
I could tell you that we have a sex offender registry program where people are required to report to the detachment It's part of their conditions. We call it SORCA. Annually, they have to come in. We get a picture. We update their address. We update all their conditions. We do not disclose where they live due to public safety, or not public, but their personal safety. But they are monitored through our special investigation unit. They have contact regularly with our special investigation unit. And if they're breached, they're immediately brought before a justice.
Do we, so with the Alberta database, is it, so I guess, are they, I guess it's just a community, Fort McMurray would be the primary location, but not the address, obviously, or would it be in the vicinity?
I cannot answer that 100%. I can tell you we know as an organization exactly where they live and what conditions they're on. I am not sure if anything's put out, and I'm unaware of a provincial database that is available to the public when we talk about sex offender registries.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason why I was asking is because I actually looked it up, and I just wanted to share whether or not how we regionally share the database with our residents, just to let the people know that we do have sex offenders and child pornographers in our region, and that was the reason why I was asking. And I did want to maybe educate the public a little bit that if you look up the database for sex offenders, you'll be able to look up the individuals that are actually within the region. But thanks for that. I did have another question on rural engagement. How often is the rural engagement going to occur with our Indigenous relations? I don't know what their technical position is, but how often do those occur with, let's say, the door knocking and the face-to-face engagements?
In regards to CPP, it happens annually, where we went to all the doors in the community, and like I said, 161 people were actually home and engaged with our members and gave us feedback, meaningful feedback. Now that we have people out living in the Conklin-Janvier area, we're having engagement daily with those relations. We've got 2 enhanced members in Fort Mackay community that are there 7 days a week, 5 days a week, which are engaging with that community all the time as well. And then the Fort Chipewyan detachment commander and Sergeant McDonald are engaging with the community up there, and they have a separate CPP that's addressing Fort Chipewyan's community needs.
One last question, I guess. So I looked up the database for Alberta and the provincial database, and I'm just curious as how can we enhance the database in our region to have those specific people that you're mentioning that are reporting to the detachment on a regular basis because they're sex offenders. We'd like to know how we could enhance that possibly through you and our detachment.
I would have to get back to you on that. I know there's significant privacy concerns and Privacy Act is in place there. I can't answer that at this time.
No, that's good. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it.
If there's no other questions, thanks, Troy. And just a quick shout out to you and your members for the response on April 24th on the highway as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to the public hearing for bylaw number 26/013, land use bylaw amendment to change portable sign regulations. Before declaring the public hearing open, here's a review of the hearing process. The public hearing will be open, followed by introduction of the item by administration and questions from council. Then move into written submissions and hear verbal submissions from any speaker present, followed by questions from council. To finish, we'll hear closing statements, then hearing will be closed. I declare the public hearing open at 5:40 p.m. I'd like to invite Planning Development to introduce the report and your opening statement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Amanda Owens, Director of Planning and Development Services, and with me this evening is Azela Contreras-Dogby, Manager of Development Planning. We are here to present an amendment to the portable sign regulations in Land Use Bylaw number 26001. This amendment applies to all portable signs on private land within the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo. This presentation will provide an overview of the project timeline, review key terms, highlight public engagement results, and outline recommendations for portable signs moving forward. In March of 2025, Council directed administration to review portable sign regulations, engage the community, and return back with recommendations for Council's consideration. Before we get started, we will define key terms used throughout the presentation. A portable sign is an unaffixed sign where the content and location can easily be changed. Portable signs use interchangeable letters or printed panels, and they're often used for short-term advertising, such as sales, events, construction, or promotions. The regulations we're presenting tonight focus only on these type of portable signs and not other signage types, such as freestanding or A-board signs shown on the right-hand side of your screen. So for tonight's presentation, we're focusing on portable signs shown on the left-hand side of the screen. Please note that first-party and third-party advertising are two different terms that mean two different things. First-party is when a sign is advertising a business that is on the same site. Third-party advertising is used for advertising businesses that are not located on the same site as the sign. The new land use bylaw regulates portable signs on private property in relation to height, sign copy area, placement, and setbacks from entrances, sidewalks, and lot lines. Engagement collected input from residents, businesses, and sign companies to inform practical and balanced updates to portable sign regulations on duration, separation distances, number of signs per site, and third-party advertising. Through the engagement process, administration held one-on-one interviews with portable sign companies, pop-up information sessions, and an online survey with 238 responses. Meetings were held with the Chamber of Commerce and 3 council committees to provide an overview of the engagement results and the proposed regulations in front of you this evening. Overall, participants supported portable signs remaining temporary with increased separation distances to reduce visual clutter. There was consistent emphasis on safe placement, spacing, and maintenance of portable signs. Portable signs were recognized as an affordable and valuable advertising tool, especially for small businesses and community groups in the region. Signage companies highlighted concerns with the current 180-day time limit for portable signs and preferred year-round with consideration for increased distances between signs. Overall, the findings identified the need to balance community concerns for visual clutter with the business community's need for more affordable advertising options. Full engagement findings are on our website in the What We Heard report. Moving forward, administration is proposing 5 key updates to portable sign regulations for council's consideration. Currently, portable signs are permitted on a site for a maximum of 180 days per calendar year and up to 180 consecutive days. We want to increase this to 365 days. Yearly renewals will still be required. This change allows businesses to retain an affordable advertising tool year-round, and it significantly reduces administrative burden. Currently, portable signs must be a minimum of 30 meters from another portable sign on the same site. We want to increase this to 50 meters to address concerns about visual clutter. Currently, there is no third-party advertising on portable signs. We want to allow third-party advertising in the rural district to better support unique business needs in the remote community areas. Currently, portable signs must be a minimum of 10 meters from any permanent sign, and we would like to remove this regulation as it is overly restrictive. Currently, portable signs must have a uniform background color, and we would also like to remove this regulation since this is also overly restrictive. These proposed amendments align with industry practices and other Alberta municipalities while creating clearer regulations. They strike a balance between community concerns and recognize the importance of the economic role portable signs play for small businesses, community organizations, and event promoters in our region. Thank you, and this concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Amanda. Questions from council? Councillor Scott?
Thanks for the presentation, Amanda. Could you give me a sort of a better explanation or a more detailed explanation of no uniform background color requirement?
Through the chair, to the question, the previous or the existing bylaw, it regulates the background of a sign. So for example, I don't know if you can see on your screen, slide 4, the background to this sign with the Jubilee buildings and the text that's there.
Yeah.
There were detailed regulations on regulating like the solid colors, for example, of the background of the sign. So on the sign copy itself, the graphic design of it, it's pretty specific, and we find that we don't have an issue with that because generally people who are utilizing portable signs are getting them done by professional sign companies who are ensuring that the copy looks clean and easy to read.
Yeah, makes sense. The third-party advertising allowed, but only in the rural district. Why is that?
Through the chair to the question, the main driver for that is we have to strike a balance between the business concerns and the residents' concerns. If we start allowing paid advertising in the region for businesses that are not located on a site, we will see a significant increase of portable signage within the urban service area. And when we did our engagement, 80% of the residents didn't want portable signs at all. So we're trying to really balance the needs of our residents, but also the needs of our businesses, and that includes the sign operators as well.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the presentation, Amanda. What was the balance for the 30 to 50 meter difference? Like, was that just the clutter balance as well that you were talking about?
Through the chair to the question, yes, that's correct.
And did we find that to be a huge piece? Like, what's the average commercial lot? You could probably only get 2 commercial signs on there, portable signs anyway. And so would it matter at the 30 or 50? Where did we come up with those numbers?
So we, through the chair to the question, we did ensure that each property will have a portable sign, so the opportunity to have a portable sign in each frontage. Mm-hmm. We did do best practices research, and the distances are between 30 to 100 meters. So we find out that to balance the public feedback and the concerns about clutter on having a lot of portable signs along the streets, that if we separated it more, that would be balanced between having too many portable signs for a longer period of time. Because we are allowing them, right now we are proposing to allow them for the 365 days.
Gotcha. So so the survey was kind of basically between 30 and 50, or sorry, 30 to 100, and then so we just kind of based on feedback ambiguously kind of put in the middle and just said, well, 50 is a good one.
Through the chair to the question, essentially, yeah, it's just striking a balance. The other thing to keep in mind is that, and Azela alluded to it, in the existing regulations under the land use bylaw, we only allow portable signs for 180 days on a site. And so you basically get a situation where it's 30 meters apart, but they can't utilize the 2 signs on that site year round, because typically what happens is you've got 180 days,
right? And
then they have to change it out and it's gone, and then it's moving 30 meters down for another 180 days. So we have to look at, one, the visual clutter, but also the fact that we're increasing the signage so it can stay there 365 days a year.
Right.
And we want to ensure that we don't then see a whole lineup of portable signs throughout the community. And the 50-meter setback was to address mainly the visual clutter concern, because those signs will be out 365 days a year versus half the year.
Gotcha. It makes sense. Where was I going with this? With the with this portable signs, I lost it. I'll have to come back to me. 2 seconds. Sorry.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Van de Kastian.
Thank you, Mayor. Amanda, with the third-party advertising in the rural district, great. That's great to see. They're kind of already doing it anyways along the highway, which is part of my question. How does this interface with highways? Like, we only have, this is obviously jurisdiction on municipal lands. Are we going to end up potentially with a line of signs from Highway 63 to Anzac every 50 meters?
So the land use bylaw zones every single piece of land, every parcel in the municipality. Along the highways, Alberta Transportation has jurisdiction to approve those signs. It will be up to Alberta Transportation to determine how these signs will be installed and where. But yes, if this is approved, there's a potential of having additional signage along the highway.
Okay. Next question would be just kind of around enforcement. The Conklin Corner is a shotgun of signs of businesses over the years. Some are still there, some aren't. They're definitely not 30 meters apart, and certainly not going to be 50 meters apart. How do we handle the enforcement side of that, and how can we get those areas cleaned up? How does this address that?
Through the chair to the question, so with enforcement, it's typically complaint-based, typically. We could have bylaw take a look at what isn't aligned to the land use bylaw at that particular location.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Van de Kastian. Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got it back. Did we used to do third party, or we did non-for-profit, or we did something where when we had portable signs, they were allowed to go up that were, like I said, either third party or non-for-profit. Were they also third party or just non-for-profit?
Through the chair to the question, you're referring to the municipal portable signs?
Yes.
The municipal portable signs are for nonprofit organizations.
Gotcha. So those you can't, so the general public can't go and get those. They have to be permitted through. So have we ever allowed third-party portable signs in RMWB?
No.
Do you know of any municipality that have them, that allow third-party portable signs?
Through the chair to the question, Azale is going to check. We have a list here.
Yeah, I know you guys benchmarked. You guys did a really good job.
Thank you.
Through the chair to the question, it's kind of, we investigated 12 municipalities and half of them do not allow third-party advertising.
So half of them do allow third-party advertising. Kind of a glass half full thing.
No, maybe 3 of them.
Okay. And in those 3
And
municipalities...
included duty to consult.
All right. In those 3 municipalities, did you find that there was a lot of clutter? So
what conversation?
I feel like I'm in a debate. In those 3 municipalities, did we find when benchmarking that the visual appearance of that municipality did get overcluttered? Did we look at that or take that into account?
Through the chair, to the question, I don't have that information. It was difficult to really know whether that will be a result of the third-party advertising or the separation distance.
So we're not sure. What were the 3 municipalities that allowed third-party signage?
Through the chair to the question, Brooks, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat.
And sorry, what was the first one? Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, and
Brooks.
Brooks. Okay. And we're not sure if they have any issues with over usage or clutter.
No, I do not have that information.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair to the question, if I can just add some more context, the question about the third-party advertising on portable signs. Previous to this new land use bylaw, or previous to last year, we'll call it, there was no third-party advertising within the urban service area.
Yeah.
And our bylaw does allow for third party on billboards and a certain percentage on the permanent freestanding signs as well. So since if you compare us to where we were last year with our sign regulations, we have opened up the ability for businesses to be able to sell third-party advertising and other signage types, but we're looking for that to be more permanent and visually aesthetic versus just allowing it on portable signs and risk the visual clutter.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I think you guys have done an incredible job with this. I really appreciate all the work that's gone in. I just trying to look at ways to become even less prescriptive, but you guys have gone miles on this. I do appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, just one more question that relates, I think, to what Councillor Weigel was discussing and myself earlier. Is there an opportunity, or I guess what I'm looking for is a carve out for nonprofits or charitable institutions to also be able to advertise, but I just want to make sure I understand they're not currently permitted to advertise in that as third-party advertisers. Is that correct?
Through the chair to the question, so the municipality does have a number of signs that we own.
Yeah.
In which the third party can advertise, or sorry, the nonprofits can advertise on those signs.
Yes.
If a nonprofit is located on within a building, for example, within that same site, if they want to have a directional signage or an event signage on a portable sign within the same address location of their business or their office, they would be allowed to do that. But if they wanted to advertise themselves on a totally different location within the city, then it would be considered third party and they would not be permitted to do it.
Okay. I guess, colleagues, I think we should build in an exception that if somebody's in a building, there's obviously not much opportunity to, I'll save that for debate, but I think they should be permitted.
Thanks, Councillor Scott. And just another question, Amanda, before we go forward. But nonprofits, there's still sections of the municipality that are available for nonprofits to rent portable signs and put them on those spaces?
Correct.
And do you know how many spaces there are in town?
12, is it?
There's 12 locations in town.
Okay, perfect. And those are available only for nonprofits
That's correct.
to use for portable signs?
That's
Perfect.
correct.
Thank you. Councillor Allen?
Just throwing it out there, but as a question. So say if I had a business and I'm helping to promote and support a nonprofit or an event, we could advertise ourselves just saying that we're proud to support such an event and tickets available here. Or if we were doing an event like that, I don't know if that's still considered third party.
Through the
Is that a gray area?
Yeah, through the chair to the question. So for first party advertising, you're essentially advertising the business that's on the site. So if the business is hosting an event on their site and it's being delivered by a nonprofit, yeah, I guess that would be like a gray area. A lot of this is complaint based, and we're not looking to be too restrictive. But if a business was to advertise a nonprofit, like completely just, as a pure advertisement form of a nonprofit group that's not located on that same site, they wouldn't be allowed to do it under the regulation.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the, information you have, how many complaints had come in, let's say, over the last 10 years about signs? Like, so like a pulse inquiry or a bylaw complaint or anything like that, how many sign complaints, non-billboard related, so obviously the light off the billboard, but take those ones out. How many sign complaints have we actually had?
Through the chair to the question, I can find that out. I don't have that on
Would you
me.
say like 100, 1,000? Like, could you give me a rough, like,
I can tell you
8?
that we always have active complaints about signs. Signs, I didn't realize how controversial signs are until we undertook this whole approach to regulating the signs and understanding how it works in other communities. And it seems to be a very, very tricky area for all municipalities to deal with. I wouldn't say that the number of signage complaints are like a massive distraction for the department.
Yeah.
But we typically do have between 1 and 3 active complaints on a sign.
And how long does it act? Like when you say active, like,
Someone like either called Pulse or emailed in or
Right.
came in to talk about it.
okay. And that was before the whole sign blow up 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Before the whole sign blow up, there was a lot more complaints.
Okay.
I'd say that there are regular complaints about signs. We've actually managed to level that out quite a bit. And the community's been really good too. Like we've seen a lot of compliance with the signage regulations. And I think with the changes that were made over the last year and a bit, the regulations are clearer and they are becoming more fair. With this portable signage recommendations tonight, it does open it up more for businesses. We had a lot of issue around the 180-day rule,
Right.
especially in a community where half the year is winter.
Okay.
It's hard to comply. So we would get complaints about signs being up
Frozen.
in December. Yeah, and you're not gonna. You may be able to remove the copy, but it's hard to remove the structure, and it still creates visual clutter. So you're not really addressing the problem.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Is there any questions from council? I'm not seeing any, so thank you both. And written submissions, we have one. We just have one written submission from Ben Gill, current chair of the Wood Buffalo Pro Business Advisory Committee, who is in support of the changes. And it's on agenda package, in your agenda package on page 161. And registered verbal submissions. We have Greg Palacho. Forgive me, Greg, if you're online. Owner of Sign Guru, national representation. And just a reminder, Greg, you have 5 minutes and just remain online for questions, please. Just so you know, you're on mute there, Greg. Just want to introduce yourself, and again, you have 5 minutes. You're still on mute, sir. Greg, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good now.
I hit the button that didn't work. Sorry. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, through you to council, my name is Greg Palechko. I'm the owner of Sign Guru Inc., and I'm speaking to you today from my office in Edmonton. I want to thank administration for their presentation. It was very well done. I would like to address some concerns in that presentation and what I consider fairness. I've been in this business for 22 years, and I want to ask council to treat our industry fairly, in fairness of the creation of the law. And the law, I'm quite disappointed in some of the comments regarding third party and where administration found evidence. And I can tell you Edmonton allows third party signage. So County of Strathcona allows third party signage. And so does the City of Stony Plain. So I don't know where the administration got some of their information from, because it's not highly accurate. And quite disappointing that not all that research was done properly. So overall, I'm quite disappointed at some level in the focus on portable signs. I'm just looking online at your corner of Conquilin Street that you're referring to, and I don't consider any of those signs portable signs. They're homemade structures built out of lumber and wood, and it is definitely a messy clutter of signage there. And so when it comes to the land use bylaw itself, overall, it's kind of in line with a lot of other municipalities across Alberta. The separation distance is not. We operate in almost every major municipality in this province and across Canada. The separation distance of 50 meters is not, it's on the high side. Grand Prairie is 15 meters, 1-5. Most municipalities do run at about 30 meters. I would say that's the majority of them. And I personally ask that council address this back to 30 meters. Edmonton has probably one of the most pro-business land use bylaws in Alberta when it comes to signage, and that includes portable signs. We need a vibrant and prosperous business community, and we need to provide good solutions for businesses to advertise, and portable signs is just that. I'd also, ask, why do we even need a permit? Lots of municipalities don't have them. This permit process often stifles placement where the process is long and it requires ridiculous things like real property reports to obtain a permit. In Edmonton, we do have permits. It's very simple. It's an online form. You check mark you have landlord permission, you fill out the application, and within 1 to 2 days, I have a permit back to me. That needs to be the place here as well, that if we're going to have permits, that the process needs to be fair and reasonable. Again, asking about permits, do you make development signs and developer signs and real estate signs get permits? Why not? Why is the focus on portable signs as our clutter issue when I Google Street View things and I can tell you there's flags everywhere and there's all other types of signage outside of portable signs that would add to this clutter, and why are we being targeted as requirement of this separation distances as one main component? And the third thing I'd like to mention is fair and equal enforcement. Again, your Conklin corner definitely needs enforcement, but the problem is that we get lumped into this classification of portable signs, and I don't consider anything on this corner a portable sign. Again, it's all homemade structure. So we ask that, again, that, when we do enforcement, that enforcement is fair and equitable. Again, overall, I'd just like to state that we would like to see that. We're very thankful that the land use bylaw was reverted back to what it is. So it was prior to about a year ago, permits were allowed annually. Then that was taken away at one point, and now we're going back to what it was previously. And that's a great move forward, and we want to say thanks for that. The only thing I would say, again, is that separation distance could be counterproductive to some of these sites where you have large multi-tenant sites, right? And, your frontage could dictate placement of signs that would then be accessible for a site that's got lots of tenants and the frontage there to support it. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for hearing from me.
Thank you, Greg. Does council have any questions? I'm not seeing any, so thank you very much, Greg. Next, we have Sean Robertson joining us online.
Yeah. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, Sean, just want to state your name for the record, Sean, and then you have 5 minutes to present, and just remain on there for questions, please.
Absolutely. So my name is Sean Robertson, and I'm a local owner of Sign Guru up in Port McMurray. Okay, so thank you, council. Thank you, municipality. I applaud your council. I applaud your leadership in the community and your openness to listen and work with local businesses. For me, I want to kind of speak specifically about the practical side of these regulations and the permitting process itself. One thing I believe it is important to recognize is that the engagement numbers should be viewed proportionately. The municipality talked about earlier, out of a community of 100,000 people, only 100,000 residents, or only a few hundred people participate in the survey itself. That's not a knock, it's just a reality of the engagement. And how do you amplify that out? There's what mediums and verticals are there. One of them is, portable sign to communicate that. But however, with those roughly a couple dozen within that, there are a couple dozen businesses which relate to not-profits, sign-related stakeholders, took time to engage as well. So this is actually a pretty significant percentage of the people and organizations most directly impacted by these regulations, of these changes. And those businesses don't just represent kind of like one person sitting here doing a survey. It's the businesses and stakeholders represent the staff, customers, community organizations, the volunteers, and the local economy itself there. I also follow closely the public engagement on social media through this process as I'm invested in it. And I believe that everything, the perspective matters. Well, social media commentary may not have been formally captured in the report. The overwhelming settlement online with opposition to increase the restrictions and support for reducing barriers for small business, giving them opportunity to run their business as they see fit. The message was consistent and simple, really. Stop making it hard for small businesses to communicate and let them market themselves. And everybody can attest here, how difficult it is to communicate within Fort McMurray sometimes, with the community this big and so spread out. People consistently say they don't know kind of what's happening and, what businesses exist and what's going on. For a relatively small city, getting information out can actually be surprisingly difficult. That's why flexibility matters. That's why open market matters, and open market will dictate operational needs for different businesses. Portable sign remains one of the most affordable and effective communication tools available to small business, not-for-profits, for community events, and local organizations. And the process to use these tools should not be unnecessarily difficult. Right now, the portable sign regulations are among the most restrictive in Alberta, and the permitting process is among the most complicated and time-consuming in the province. For portable sign that is movable and has virtually no impact on infrastructure, the amount of paperwork and delay involved can be, it's incredible. It's excessive. It's exhausting. We need written landlord authorization, certificate of titles, plot plan measurement, sign schematics, any additional information that, the permitter sees fit. It's just a long, drawn-out process, all for a sign that can be removed anyways. Even when the requirements haven't fully met, approval can take extremely long. We had personally experienced permit approvals taking as long as 6 months despite complying with all regulations. The timeline simply does not work in the real world. Businesses need to communicate quickly, promoting events, hire staff, advertising for fundraising. Times are tough. They're trying to do some sort of sale. Getting the message out quickly and effectively matters. The municipality should understand the importance of this communication itself. When we installed quickly for the initiative for off-highway vehicle pilot project in Amistad, the communication is treated as important as everybody else, and it should be. Local businesses trying to hire employees, promote events, it should be no less. It should be a quick turnaround. We're not installing underground infrastructure. We're not reconstructing permanent buildings. We're placing portable removable signs on private property with already private property approval in place to do so. The process should reflect that reality. There's no reason many businesses can. It's the reason why a lot of businesses become frustrated. That's why there's a lot of clutter back in the day, and doing homemade portable signs by 2x4s. And if I was a resident downtown on Franklin, I would have been calling the pulse line as well. But working with municipality years ago, we connected with those businesses, and we should help streamline the process. We want to work and be a stakeholder within the municipality and work together to succeed. We believe the municipality should be focusing on clear regulations, simple expectations, reasonable and fair enforcement, and a permitting process that is fast, predictable, and easy to follow. If a permit system is going through this, it should be streamlined enough that businesses can realistically comply with it. A one-page application with fast turnaround should be the goal. Other municipalities in Alberta have already done this. As Mayor Bowman said earlier in the open mic there, we're looking for Alberta best practice and having clear rules, reasonable and responsible standards, and a process that supports businesses instead of trying to bury them in complexity and paperwork. We need to move past that, and we need to work together and look at Alberta best practice. That concludes, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, appreciate that. Does council have any questions for the presenter? Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thanks, Sean, for your presentation. I have a question about the size of the sign. So listening to you talk about the tedious process of the permit and looking at the photos that have been provided, both of the signs look to be the same size. If we were to amend it and say that there's an option of 3 sizes for these signs, is that would that be helpful to kind of cut down on some of this permitting? Or as a business owner, do you need the variety of being able to have a larger sign, smaller signs? Can you help me understand so I can make this better for you guys?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And truthfully, it's case dependent on the business and the operational needs of that business and what they're trying to do, and budget dependent as well. We try to work with any business within any budget, which is why we're such a vertical within advertising and affordability for that local market. So we do have, and signs in general, they do have fluctuate from different sizes, but it's about the application of that impression localized into a daily commute or that daily, that walker or whatnot. But so to the point I guess I'm trying to make there is that we do have different variety of sizes and signs that we can use. It really just comes down to the bylaw itself and kind of just reverting back to what the initial was of 30 meters apart. And the flexibility to give it to the business owner the opportunity to run their business and how they see fit and how they want to market themselves. We're a product that's supporting that business.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm hearing the variation of size of the sign is needed, and your comment was about the 30 versus the how far they are apart. Okay, thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Vardy. Does Council have any other questions? I'm not seeing any, so thanks, Sean. And thanks for everything you do in the community.
Thank you.
And in person, we have Nate Ouellette. And Nate, just want to say your name for the record. You have 5 minutes to present, and just remain seated for questions, Nate.
My name is Nathaniel Ouellette, resident since 2006, longtime listener, third-time caller. I'm going to kick off before my written bit, the contention bit, before buying Sign Guru. I had no idea the level of contention between businesses, council, municipalities. We bought it from a couple. They're cornerstone members of our community. They quit because of the harassment from bylaw. Like they're just trying to support mostly not-for-profits and small businesses. But, anyways, the contention and the stress and anxiety that I've taken on since taking on this business is it's quite real. I'm not a good public talker, so I've prepared what I wanted to say. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. First off, I want to thank the Administration, Planning and Development for the work that they've put into these proposed changes. I saw the work that they did. Jessica Fons reached out, kind of kept us up to date with what they're doing. Like I saw the amount of work that they've done. Genuinely, I'm thrilled to see the proposed removal of the 180-day restriction on the portable signs. I believe that is a major step in the right direction for local businesses, and I appreciate administration listening to the feedback provided throughout the engagement. I also appreciate the effort that has gone into reviewing these regulations and engaging with the community throughout this process. That said, I do not support the proposed increase in distance requirements. Feel 30 meters spacing requirement very reasonable, not a little generous even perhaps. I do not believe that increasing those separation distances further is the right approach for supporting small business or improving communication within our community. I am, however, encouraged to see administration moving forward with the greater flexibility allowing third-party advertising in the rural areas. Third-party advertising already exists throughout our community through billboards, transit advertising, digital signage, radio, print, and social media. Portable signs seems to be the focus of limiting the third party. Portable signs are one of the only advertising mediums where restrictions are placed on who can be advertised rather than simply just regulating the sign itself. If a sign already complies with setback requirements, spacing requirements, visibility standards, appearance standards, then the legitimate concerns I feel have already been met, not who's being advertised. I would simply ask Council to remove the third-party advertising restriction within Fort McMurray so small businesses can collaborate, work together to succeed. Portable signage plays an important role in this community because it is flexible, affordable, fast, and very effective. The municipality itself utilizes portable signages often because it's one of the quickest and most effective ways to communicate. Very notable was the off-highway vehicle. You can, get out in front of who you want to get in front of and get the message directly across. Honestly, every resident in Fort McMurray knows how difficult communication can sometimes be. For a relatively small city, everybody's, there's a trade show this weekend. How did I not know? It's a tiny town, but nobody knows who's here, what's going on, or the communication's difficult here. We should be focused on giving businesses, organizations, and community groups more flexibility to communicate with the residents, not less. For many small businesses, portable signage is one of their few truly affordable forms of advertising available. Many just do not have the budget for large permanent signage projects or expensive digital advertising campaigns. Portable signage gives those businesses a practical and affordable way to gain visibility in our community. With one of the previous CAOs, I had a private meeting with them where he told me that the RMWB mandate was to encourage permanent signage. To me, that raised a very important question. Is it the role of the municipality to decide how small businesses are advertising themselves, or should the role of the municipality be empowering the small businesses to succeed using whatever legal and safe tools that works best for them? I believe we should have a new mandate within this municipality, a mandate to empower the small businesses, not burden them. With that, I would respectfully ask Council to maintain the current distance requirements, extend the third-party advertising permissions throughout Fort McMurray, not just rural areas. Fort McMurray has been built by blue-collar, entrepreneurial, community-minded people. It was built by people willing to work hard, take the risks, and create opportunity, and I think our policies should also reflect that. And that is my presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate everything you and Sean do for the community as well. Quick council, have any questions? I'm not seeing any. Thanks, Nate.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in the gallery who wishes to come forward and present? Are there any further questions of council to administration? Just as a reminder, once the hearing is closed, we know if other further information gathering. Councilor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. My question is for Amanda at administration. Amanda, can you explain the permit process for someone who wants to apply for a permit for portable signs, please?
Through the chair to the question, I don't have the timelines for approval on me. We probably could get them through Azalea. She's here in the audience, but essentially they have to come in through the front counter or online and apply for their signage permit in relation to whatever portable location they're going to be at.
Thank you. If you were to compare it to a business license application, because that's the one that I'm most familiar with, it's like maybe 5 or 6 pages that I'm done in less than 10 minutes. Can you compare it to that? Is it harder? Is it easier? Is my first question.
Through the chair to the question, it's a very similar application than a business license or a simple development permit like a home business or a single attached home. It's an application, they provide the documentation, and we process if it's complete.
Okay, so thank you. There was a couple of questions from the presenters about the application not being fair. There's more required than what they feel is needed. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think what we're asking for is required for them to be able to put a sign on?
To the chair to the question, I think the requirements are fair. However, we can commit to go and check on the checklist, which we already doing that, and understand what actually is needed and review that information if this amendment is passed. But we still can improve the development permit timelines and application process.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, we want to be pro-business, and one of the comments that we keep hearing is some of the holdups are the permitting process. My last question is about the third party in urban. So Nathan had made a comment about allowing the third party in urban. What would that look like?
Through the chair to the question, I think Amanda alluded to this comment about if third-party advertising is allowed in each portable sign or each property, commercial property is allowed to have third-party advertising, then you will have a lot more of portable signs because then now is sort of a revenue generator for each of these properties. So the difference is that now they will be advertising their side business, like I have a sale today, or I have this type of sandwiches in my business today, as opposed to now advertising anything and everything in one site.
Thank you very much. My last question. My third last question is actually for Jade. So Jade, if we were to make an amendment to any bylaw and we felt that it wasn't working, how quickly can we amend it? So if we wanted to make an amendment to allow third party, and we're seeing third party in urban, and we're seeing that there's a lot of traffic, we're getting a lot of complaints, how quickly can we come back to council to change that decision?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. We could take a look at it administratively and come back through the same process. The one thing to keep in mind is legislatively, the way a bylaw gets passed is the way it gets amended. So if we were to pass this bylaw this evening or amend it and then pass it, then we would come back with first reading of a bylaw, setting of public hearing again, and we would go back through the same process. So I would say give or take a month through the council process, because we usually do first reading on one date. The next month we would do public hearing and second and third reading consideration, and then the lead time for administration to work on the amendments.
Perfect. Thank you for the timeline. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Scott?
Just before you leave, just a quick question. Would you agree that there can be some timeline, whether it's 14 days, 30 days, when there should be a presumptive approval, when things can be approved within, or if it's not dealt with within that time, then it could simply be approved. So what I call a presumptive approval, I don't know if I'm clearly stating that.
To the chair, to the question, typically we don't hold applications because we don't process it, because we don't want to process or because they're just there. We do proactively look at these applications, review them, and process them. A lot of the times, what we find is that the applications are not complete, and the back and forth of explaining what is needed to process an application is what takes the time. So we can process incomplete applications, and we do have and provide a lot of support to any applicant that comes to the counter or contact us for any application and provide and explain everything that is needed. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes more time to have that information submitted. Complete applications are processed as soon as they come to our desk.
Yeah, I think Amanda's already on the case, as I understand it, but this would be an example of an area I think we could do a lot of work to make applications simpler. There should never be a situation, I would think, when we would need an RPR for a sign approval, because most houses, when you get them built, don't require them these days. So I think there is an opportunity to simplify significantly. I'll just leave that as a point.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask basically the same question all the way through, is that if I own a piece of property and I can prove that, and I can show you where I'm going to put the sign, and as of right now, it has to be first-party advertising, what more information would you need than the proof that it's my property and where I'm going to put the sign?
Yeah, I think that the site plan that is required as part of the application is so that we can actually see where the sign is going to be located.
Right, so that's what I said. You can see where I'm going to put the sign, know that there's no other signs that's within the vicinity, and that I own the property. Besides that, what other information would be needed to approve that approval?
Through the chair to the question, I don't have the checklist in my head right now, unfortunately, but I came back to you about that, specific requirements. But you just need the title, a letter of authorization if it's not your property, where the sign will be located, what type of information will be advertised, information like that. It's nothing more than that what we require.
Okay. What would and I think this was kind of asked, but what would be the average time right now on an approval on a portable sign? Like, what would we think? How fast are we approving those right now?
To the question, I don't specifically have that information, but I do know that we have some stats that we compiled for all permits last year, and the average processing time was 9 days. 9 days.
9 days?
So we are, in all of the applications that we do, we are under 30 days for the most part. A lot of the applications that take longer is because they are not complete.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Weigel. Does administration have anything else to add as further comments? Nope. I'll now declare this public hearing closed at 6:31 p.m. So coming out of public hearing, just to let council know, there'll be no further question or information gathering from this point. I come to the public hearing, I'll have second and third readings of bylaw number 26/013 for council consideration. Can I have someone make the motion for the second reading? Councilor Scott?
Yeah, I'll make that motion. And at some point, I'd ask for a motion break as well, just briefly.
Yeah, we'll do it right after this, Councilor Scott. Thank you. Thank you, second, Councilor Weigel. Has council any debate, discussion, or comments? Not seeing it, I'll call for a vote. In favor online, Councilor Cardinal? Thank you. And that's carried with 7 in favor. Now we'll we'll have a motion recess right now and just ask council to stay in the room as it's a public hearing. Welcome back, everyone. Councillor Scott, you have an amendment?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor. So I'd like to bring,
Sorry, Councillor Scott. Do third reading first. Okay, sorry, first we'll do the motion for the third reading.
yeah, so moved.
Thank you. And a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Go ahead, Councillor Scott, with your amendment.
Motion, and having heard the presenters, colleagues, I think there's lots of changes that can that benefit this community, and I would suggest that at the very end there's going to be a supplemental motion as well, that this be further reviewed in 6 months with the idea of making further changes. But this amendment is that bylaw number 26/013 be amended by deleting 1A in its entirety and renumbering the remaining subsections accordingly, and deleting 1E and replacing it with the following. 8.27.1E, for the purposes of nonprofits and organizations with charitable status with offices in the region, third-party advertising is permitted in all land use districts.
Thank you, Councillor Scott, and thanks for the second, Councillor Van de Castian. Councillor Scott, do you want to speak to that motion?
Yeah, one of the things, as I mentioned, just to preempt it, I am going to ask that administration bring this back within 6 months. I do think there's an opportunity to expand this to all third-party advertising and consider that, but I think this is an initial step that we as a council can take. Having heard some of the comments that are made, it obviously changes the 50 meters to 30 meters back again, or keeps it that way. And it expands the advertising ability of nonprofits and charitable status. So it goes part way. I think there is an opportunity to go further at a future time, but this is a good initial step. And I encourage everyone to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. And I will be supporting this motion, keeping it at 30 meters, as well as adding the changes that administration's recommended in the bylaw, as well as your motion to add the nonprofits organization charitable status within the region to be third-party advertising. I think a lot of the advertising we see is actually third-party, so I think it definitely does benefit them. I'll be supporting this. Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Worship. I think this part of the thing with this council is we have a number of people here who either have previously been business owners or and those that are current business owners, and we've all faced these challenges in the past. As a former president of the Chamber of Commerce as well, we argued this a lot. We've been known and have a reputation as a community of having an archaic sign bylaw. I'm surprised. I mean, in the overall key findings, I recognize there was 238 respondents, but out of the number of residents we have here, I think that you'll find when you put the surveys out like that, you tend to get the people that are opposed to that particular bylaw that are going to respond more so. And when I saw extending that to 50 meters from 30 meters, that's half a football field. It just takes us backwards. So I'm completely supportive of this one. I'm still on the fence about the third-party advertising, but I think it's appropriate for us to be able to have not-for-profit extended throughout. And whether a business like Sign Gurus wishes to extend that as well, that's up to them. But I think most private businesses are actually doing that as a donation to the social profits. So no, I think it. And again, what we hear from residents is you can make some of the people happy some of the time. I'm going to try and make more people happy by supporting this bylaw.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Does Council have any other questions, comments, or debate points? Not seeing. I'll call for a vote. This is on the amending motion. Online, Councillor Cardinal. In favor, thank you. That's carried unanimously. Now going back to the third reading. Any debate, discussion, or comments council needed? I'll call for a vote. In favor online, thank you, Councillor Cardinal. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
And there's
Next
just a supplementary motion as well.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Scott.
Colleagues. So colleagues, I would just bring a supplementary motion. The administration conduct a review of this bylaw within 6 months, taking into account the comments that were made tonight by the presenters.
Thanks, Councillor Scott. And thanks for the second, Councillor Vardy. Council, any other questions, comments, or debate points? Not seeing you, I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Cardinal in favor, thank you. And that's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Next, we have a report on the Center Fireplace capital request. I'd like to invite Community Services to introduce the report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Tony Elliott, Director of Community Services. With me this evening is Jonathan Lambert, Director of Business and Community Relations with the Northern Alberta Athletic Association, or NAAA. He is available for questions about the proposed project. Being presented for your consideration is the capital request for upgrades to Centerfire Place for up to $525,000 to be dispersed to the Northern Alberta Athletic Association as a municipal facility capital grant. NAAA has proposed the addition of 6 new suites on the west end of Centerfire Place to mirror the existing suites on the east end of the arena. This capital enhancement is intended to improve the functionality, generate revenue, and overall increased competitiveness and marketability of the facility. NAAA has identified other grant funding opportunities that would offset the cost of these upgrades, and the timing of this request is due to the pending deadlines for those grant applications. The amount requested represents the full cost of the project, but if NAAA is successful in securing external funding, the total municipal contribution of the project would be correspondingly reduced. Alternatives to the administrative recommendation include approving the funds to have the project delivered internally, that funding be approved conditionally dependent on NAAA securing other funding for the upgrades, that the project be deferred for consideration with the 2027 capital budget, or that the request be denied. The Active Community Initiatives Grant, which is the funding source identified by NAAA, can fund up to 50% of the project cost. As Centerfire Place is a municipally owned asset, NAAA is requesting that the remaining balance of the project be funded by the Municipal Facility Capital Grant. If approved, the project has the potential to generate increased long-term revenues through premium seating sales, sport and event hosting, concerts, conferences, and community programming while supporting broader municipal objectives related to economic development and community vibrancy, and will support the financial sustainability of Center Fire Place. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Tony. First question, either to Jonathan or Tony. This grant stream, if I remember correctly, I think I went through this grant, and that it exemplifies the building must be a municipal building and must be run by a nonprofit. And I think all the things that this grant falls under actually falls under what Center Fire is. Is that correct?
Through the chair to the question, the grant doesn't necessarily have to be a municipally owned building. It could be a privately owned building, but it needs to address a community need and to be for the broader community, which Center Fire Place does.
Perfect.
Meet.
Thank you. Does council have any other questions? I'm not seeing any. Thank you both very much. Do we have any delegates to this item? Can I have someone make the motion? Councillor Weigel.
I move that up to $525,000 be allocated from the Capital Infrastructure Reserve as a municipal facility capital grant to the Northern Alberta Athletic Association for upgrades to Center Fire Place.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel, and thank you for this second, Councillor Allen. Does council have any debate, discussion, or comments? Councillor Vardy.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Not a fan of approving capital outside of budget, so I would like to debate with my colleagues about alternative number 2, is funding be approved conditionally depending on if the grant, if the NACC, that's not the acronym, I'm so sorry, if they do get the grant funding.
Okay, council have any other comments, debate points? Councillor Van de Castian?
I would agree with Councillor Vardy on that, with making it a conditional. Being outside of budget, like, I understand we have timelines we have to meet, but if we don't meet timelines or we don't get the grant.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Van de Castian. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, colleagues, I would encourage everyone to approve this unconditionally. The reason being is that the world doesn't operate with respect to our budget cycle, and opportunities arise and they disappear. Organizations need to make plans, and I think we approve this as is, and so that would be option number 1, I believe, but unconditionally. And if they get the grant, fantastic. If they don't, they've still got the plans in place to move forward.
Maybe Tony can answer this. What is or actually anybody involved with hockey, when is what is the Centennial Cup? Do you know when that date is of that?
Through the chair, the Centennial Cup for the bid that has been submitted by NAAA is May 2027.
Okay, next May. So it would be, if they want to do renovations, it would be very pertinent they get started right away.
Very timely.
Very short window. Okay, thank you. Councillor Allen?
Thank you, and I guess also to Tony, that I mean, from what you were saying in your presentation was, I mean, if the other funding comes forward or through in their grant applications, that would reduce the amount of the municipal capital grant?
Through the chair, yes, the grant agreements are generally written that any portion not used for the project would be repayable. So that's par for the course for the way we write our grant agreements.
Yeah, no, and I guess I'm still with Councillor Scott on this. I mean, the other option was that, number 1, where we just say that we approve it internally. It's a municipal facility. It's improving our own facility. But if there's an opportunity to get some funding that's available out there from other grants, I'm all for that. And I wouldn't do it conditionally. I mean, we have other projects coming up, and we also have, I think as well, if that is in place and we give the NAAA the opportunity to bring in additional revenues, that will also help decrease the annual grant for the operating that we give them, or they can get more staff, or whatever is going to result as a benefit from having these facilities. So I'm going to stick with the original motion myself.
And thank you, Councillor Allen. Does Council have any other comments, questions, or debates, points? I'm not seeing any, so right. I'll call for a vote on the motion that's on the floor. Councillor Cardinal? In favor? And that's carried with 7 in favor. Next up, we have the Q4 financial performance report. I'd like to invite Corporate Services to introduce the report, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Rachel Orser, Acting Director of Corporate Services. I'm here this evening to present the 2025 Q4 Financial Performance Report. The intent of this report is to provide a detailed financial update of the municipality as of December 31st, 2025, including municipal operations compared to approved budget, capital project spending, the status of investment holdings, financial commitments, granting opportunities, and the status of extraordinary events. Providing this overview supports fiscal management. This slide illustrates that the operating revenue for 2025 totaled $700.6 million, which exceeded the approved revenue budget of $645.6 million by $55 million. Key variances contributing to this include net taxes available for municipal purposes were $13.5 million over budget due to an adjustment made to the assessment provisions. Government transfers were $1 million over budget, primarily due to the receipt of unbudgeted grants. Sales and user charges were $6.5 million over budget, driven by unbudgeted recycling revenue, increased consumption, and under-budgeted water and sewer rate increases. Licensing and permits were $1.5 million over budget, which resulted from unbudgeted connection fees and building permits for unexpected large commercial developments. Return on investments were $10.5 million over budget, supported by strong equity performance and a strategic shift in investment alignment with the revised FIN 140 investment policy. Other revenues was $1.1 million over budget due to higher than anticipated cost reimbursements, and transfer from reserve for operations were $20.1 million over budget, reflecting the use of prior year carry forward funding, as well as other council-approved reserve fundings for initiatives throughout the year or previously approved. This slide illustrates the operating expenses as of December 31st, 2025, which totaled $480.8 million, which is $4.7 million above the annual budget of $476.2 million. Key variances that contributed to this variance are salaries, wages, and benefits are $1.5 million over budget, primarily due to a retroactive payment which was partially offset by unplanned absences and staffing vacancies. Contracted and general services were $9 million over budget, largely due to the completion of carry forward initiatives in 2025. Purchases from other governments were $5.2 million under budget, driven by an unexpected reimbursement from the RCMP contract, as well as vacancies under this. Transfers to other governments were $9.4 million over budget, reflecting council-approved council approved funding for municipal facilities and community grants and payments pertaining to the Downtown Revitalization Incentive Program. Transfers to individuals and organizations were $8.2 million under budget due to lower than budgeted community investment program distributions and the provincial cancellation of the community plan for homelessness. Lastly, transfers to facilities were $1.1 million under budget, resulting from the repayment of unspent funds from previously approved prior year grants. This slide illustrates the original approved capital budget for 2025 relative to the revised budget as of year end. In December 2024, Council approved a 2025 capital budget of $166.2 million. New projects, project cancellations, and budget amendments approved throughout the fiscal year resulted in a revised capital budget of $190 million. As of December 31st, 2025, $125.5 million had been spent on capital initiatives, which is inclusive of multi-year and single-year projects. Of the annual spend in 2025, $107.8 million pertained to the 2027 approved budget, while the remaining $17.7 million was spent on the delivery of 2024 and prior approved capital projects. This slide highlights the cash and investment position of the municipality as of December 31st, 2025. As of the end of December, the position was $1,356.8 million, consisting of $219.7 million held in the bank and $1,137.1 million in investments. Of the investment holdings, $424.6 million was held in corporate bonds, $697.3 million was held in government bonds and GICs, with the remaining $15.2 held as cash. Not illustrated on this slide is $25.7 million in accrued interest, which represents the interest that was earned as of year end by the municipality, but will be paid at a future date. This slide considers the financial commitments that the municipality has. On the left-hand side of the slide, the pie chart illustrates that we have $50 million held as a minimum uncommitted capital infrastructure reserve and another $50 million held as a minimum uncommitted emerging issues reserve. These are both consistent with stipulations in Council's Fiscal Responsibility or FIN 160 policy. $325.2 million is held in reserve that is currently uncommitted or unallocated, and there's $931.6 million held in a reserve and allocated for various reasons. The pie chart on the right-hand side of this slide then shows how that $961.6 million in committed reserves is allocated. In that, $363.3 million is in the capital infrastructure reserve to support approved projects, and an additional $287.5 is allocated to support future capital projects, which would be for future approved capital plans. $69.5 million is committed to the emerging issues reserve to support council-approved programs and initiatives. $81.7 is allocated in the operating reserve primarily for carry-forward funding and other council-approved programs. $36.1 is within the deferred revenue, with the majority allocated to deferred grant revenue. And then there's $93.5 million allocated to operating requirements. This slide illustrates that the municipality has received $46.6 million in grants in 2025, of which $34.4 million are for capital projects and $12.2 million are for operating initiatives in nature. This slide is to provide a status update on extraordinary events. The municipality has spent $34.6 million on recoverable 2022 river breakup costs, of which is 100% DRP reimbursed. At the onset of this extraordinary event, the project estimate was to be $33.3 million, and administration is continuing to collaborate with provincial government to quantify claims. The municipality spent $1.4 million on supporting evacuees from the Northwest Territories during the 2023 Fort Fitzgerald fire. This was a mutual aid claim with expenses submitted directly to the provincial government, and as of Q3, the municipality has received all expected reimbursements in relation to this event. The municipality's application to DRP regarding the 2023 Rocky River fire has been approved with an estimated project totaling $8.2 million. The collection of the expenses in relation to this in relation to this event remain underway, and to date, eligible expenses totaling $4.3 million have been identified. Lastly, the municipality's application to DRP regarding the 2024 MWF 017 fire, which led to an evacuation of some neighborhoods within Fort McMurray, has been approved with estimated project estimate of $2.7 million. And again, the collection of these expense-related invoices remain underway, and to date, as of December 31st, eligible expenses were identified to be $481,610. This concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Rachel. Does council have any questions? Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Appreciate it. If we can look at, I think it's page 5 of the Q4 financial performance report. It's looking at our municipal expenses over the past 5 years. So we're seeing an increase of our expenses in comparison to the previous years. So 23, we're looking at, we were under 15 million, 22 under 28 million, and 21 under 2.2. And now we're seeing an increase of 4.7. You had talked about the fires and some of those extraordinary events, but those didn't impact our previous years the same way that we're seeing now. So can you explain that variance and why we're seeing an increase?
Through the chair to the question, to be completely honest, I wouldn't have that detailed information right now. I can certainly look into it. But what I would like to highlight is depending on when the extraordinary event occurred, the expenses would be reflected in that given year as an actual. So if we look back to the extraordinary events, we did have some in 2023, 2 of them, and 1 as well in 2024.
Yeah, no, understood. Sorry. From your presentation, it was kind of alluding that those extraordinary events would have caused what we're seeing an increase now, but that's what we're saying the same thing, that it would be reflected in those years. Okay, well, hopefully to CAO, would you be able to commit to getting the question I asked about the variance and the increase that we're seeing in expenses?
Through the chair to the question, Councillor Vardy, I think what we're taking away as an action is to start to create a quarterly business dashboard that would be able to highlight exactly where we are against the expense line. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Thank you, CAO. Councillor, any other questions? Not seeing any. Thank you, Rachel. Oh, okay, go ahead, Councillor Cardinal.
Thanks, Mayor. If I could have Rachel maybe go back to the last slide there. I know that on the Rocky River fire, I'm just kind of curious as to why that's the only one that's not fully recouped its money.
Yeah, through the chair to the question, when we, I guess there's 2 things. First, we continue to quantify and look for those eligible expenses. This was at a point in time in December, the end of December. Also, with the project estimate, that's really part of the application when it's made, and it's based on daily burn rate at that particular point. So it's really an estimate made of the information known at the time. After the actual extraordinary events, that's when we make sure that we're reflecting and capturing all the invoices that would become eligible.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Does council have any other questions? Not seeing any. Thanks, Rachel. Do we have any delegates for this item? Can I have some make the motion? Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Worship. I'll move that the 2025 Q4 financial performance report be accepted for information.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Thank you, Councillor Van de Castian for the second. Council, any other questions, comments, or debate points? Not seeing. I'll call for a vote. In favor, Councillor Cardinal online. Councillor Cardinal against. And that's carried with 7 in favor. Item 5.4, the first reading of Draper Area Structure Plan. Councillor Weigel, do you want to speak to that? And just a reminder, Council, it's a first reading. There's no debate, discussion, or comments. But go ahead, Councillor Weigel, as you brought it off the consent agenda.
I guess question is, Jay, do I need to move this first before we have discussion?
We can't really have a discussion, but you can make the motion and speak to it.
Sure. I just move that bylaw number 26/017 being Draper Area Structure Plan be read for a first time.
Thanks. And just remind Council, first reading, there's no debate, discussion, or comments. So I'll let Councillor Weigel speak to his motion, then we'll vote. And set the public hearing for the same date.
Sorry, and that the required public hearing be scheduled for June 16th, 2026.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Weigel.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to administration for getting this on the docket, as it's taken, it's been a long time in talks and going through, and I know that administration's worked hard to make to create a path forward for Draper. I just wanted this to be public and be off the consent agenda, that so Draper residents know that it is coming on June 16th, so to take a hard look through the area structure plan that has been developed and to be here to have your voice heard on June 16th.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel, and we'll call for a vote. In favor online? Thank you, Councillor Cardinal. That's carried unanimously. Moving on to item 9.1, Councillors' motions. Councillor Luana Bussier cannot be in attendance. I will read her motion and ask for a mover in her absence. Reads that Council direct administration develop and bring forward a comprehensive policy to guide the regional municipality of Buffalo in managing unreasonable, vexatious or abusive complaints, that the policy establish a clear framework that enables municipal employees to respond effectively to the public concerns while protecting well-being, time, and the resources from unreasonable, repetitive, or abusive use, and ensuring fair, respectful access to municipal services. The administration bring the policy forward for Council's consideration at the June 23rd, 2026 Council meeting. If I could have someone to move that. Councillor Van de Castian, thank you. And second. Thanks for a second, Councillor Weigel. I'll speak to it for Councillor Bussier. This is a policy I think that's probably definitely needed to protect anybody in their workspace. And I believe the administration is working on a policy as we speak, so that'll be good to see. Is there any delegates to this item? Does Council have any other questions, comments, debate points? Councillor Scott?
Yeah, I would just ask that administration take into account when they're developing the policy, some sort of an authority or discretion for the administrative officer or the designate to administer the policy, including a discretion to determine the appropriate operational response so that it's consistent. That language is language I've seen a lot in legal environments, and it's not always easy to determine what's frivolous, vexatious. And I think giving the CAO that determination is going to help solve a lot of problems. So I would encourage administration to do that. Otherwise, I'll bring them. I'd rather just administration take that into account. And the other thing that I've been thinking a lot about is giving the CAO the ability to issue administrative directives to assist in the interpretation of that language, which otherwise can end up in inconsistent results. So just that point, I would support the motion. I would just encourage administration to take that into account if it's passed.
Through the chair to the comment, yes, Councillor Scott, I think we'll take that under advisement. Thank you very much.
Thanks, CEO, and thanks, Councillor Scott. Does Council have any other questions, comments, or debate points? Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Worship. I'm just, I guess, more curious, probably through the CAO to whichever director may be responsible, but do we not have any kind of policy for that now?
I'll defer to Jade.
Thank you. Through the chair, we don't currently have a council-approved policy. What we do have is an administrative directive that speaks to our guidelines if we are dealing with a customer or a client of ours who is unreasonable. So we do have some steps outlined that's signed off by the CAO, and that is in alignment with our occupational health and safety requirements under the Act.
Right. Okay, so does this bring more clarity to it?
Through the chair, I think what this will do will allow the public to have a good understanding of what council approves as the guideline.
Understand. Okay, thank you very much. And yes, it'll have my support.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Does Council have any other comments, questions, debate points? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councilor Cardinal in favor, thank you. And that's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. And that concludes this evening's meeting. Marcy Cho, Kinnamus Compton. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.